Alright, today I'm going to be demonstrating a developmental network using characters from Netflix's docuseries Tiger King as examples. But we're going to use a slightly reimagined timeline of the story, pretending that Alan Glover, the hitman, and Don Lewis, Carol Baskin's ex-husband, existed at the same time in the story. So since Alan Glover was the hitman in the story, we're going to say that the Alan Glover gene product inhibits transcription of the Carol Baskin gene. Since Doc Ansel was the person that originally inspired Joe Exotic to kind of act a little more wild, we're going to say that the Doc Ansel gene product stimulates the transcription of Joe Exotic. Joe Exotic stimulates the transcription of the Alan Glover gene, since Joe Exotic is the one that hired Alan Glover as the hitman. But if Carol Baskin is transcribed, her ex-husband, Don Lewis, is murdered and fed to the tigers. However, as long as the Alan Glover gene is transcribed, Alan will inhibit Carol, and Carol will not inhibit Don, so the Don Lewis gene will be transcribed. So if we put all of this information together, we have this developmental network. Doc activates Joe, Joe activates Alan, Alan inhibits Carol, and Carol inhibits Don. So now let's talk about some possible mutants and how they would affect this network. So if Doc is removed, then Joe is not activated and cannot activate Alan, who cannot inhibit Carol, so Carol will still inhibit Don, and the Don Lewis gene will not be transcribed, aka Don Lewis will be murdered and fed to the tigers. If Carol Baskin is removed from the network, then Don Lewis is not inhibited, and thus Don Lewis is not murdered or fed to the tigers. For some double mutant examples, if Doc Ansel and Joe Exotic are both removed from the network, then Alan is never activated. Alan can never inhibit Carol from inhibiting Don Lewis, so Don Lewis is still murdered and fed to the tigers. However, if Alan and Carol Baskin are both removed from the network, then Don Lewis is not inhibited by Carol Baskin, who is not inhibited by Alan, and Don Lewis still lives.